Hello internet and welcome into today's video. Doing something kind of different today, but something kind of similar to something you've seen before. A ways back I did a how to feed your Krayt dragon video where I talked about my pet gecko and what I usually feed him on a day-to-day basis. And if you want to check that video out, it still exists somewhere in the World Wide Web for you to check out. But today I'm going to show you the other main part of his diet, crickets. So with that, I'm going to show you part 2 of how to feed your Krayt dragon.
How you get so big to do food of this kind?
Alright, here I am with my secondary tank. This is the tank that I keep my crickets in when I get them, to kind of keep them over a couple of days to feed my lizard. I will say, quick disclaimer, I understand that it's pronounced Krayt dragon. I, as a kid, always pronounced it Krat. I call my lizard, who is named Krat. I get that you all probably want me to pronounce it Krayt, but as I said in my last video, I don't call it Krayt because I just think of a giant wooden box coming to attack me, and that doesn't sound particularly scary. So from here on out, it's going to be Krat, and that's just going to be how it is. Okay, so this is the cricket tank. This is a second tank that I keep specifically for when I get live bugs in for my gecko. So my lizard, my Crested Gecko, named Krat, lives in what's called a vivarium. A vivarium is like a terrarium, it's just a fancy name for it. Basically means it's a tank I keep with live plants, and I kind of keep a little ecosystem going in it, right? So I have to put humidity into it. I actually have a humidifier that pumps steam into it all the time. And that's where my lizard lives. But the crickets, when I keep them to feed them, live in this secondary, smaller tank. And the reason why is I don't live particularly near my pet store. And so when I go in and get crickets, I get crickets that will last about a week. Not because I can actually get in there weekly, but that's about the lifespan these guys will have in this tank anyway, usually, unless I take ridiculously good care of them. So I tend to just get enough for a couple of days. It's a couple day treat. I like to do that anytime I just go in to the pet store to get other things. I have to go there anyway, because I get water from the pet store. So the type of water I use for my Crested Gecko is what's called reverse osmosis water, or RO water for short. I don't know if it still counts as purifying, if we want to be semantic about it, but it's a way of cleaning water that doesn't use chemical processes. It's basically a way of letting atomic physics do its stuff, and it cleans out the water without adding chemicals to purify the water, and as a result it keeps a lot of basically it just sucks out anything out of the water that isn't water. So if you ever drink reverse osmosis water, it tastes real funky because there's nothing else. There's like no minerals or anything in it, whereas other purification processes let us keep some minerals in our water, which is why sometimes water can have a flavor. I've actually drank it, and it's kind of weird because there's literally nothing to it. I have now cleaned out the old crickets, so some of the crickets that either didn't get fed off and didn't survive. A lot of times the crickets will actually crap acid, no joke. So what I do is I keep cardboard tubes in the tank for them to kind of live on and crawl around on, like so. And because of that, sometimes the crickets, if they live in close quarters for too long, can actually just slowly over time kill each other, which isn't great. So I have to kind of create strata for them to live on in here. Hello. The next thing I'm going to do is put in this stuff. This is called Jurassic Diet. Jurassic Diet is what it's called gut loader. Basically, it's food that the crickets can eat, and it has a bunch of vitamins and stuff in them that the crickets will either not digest or just simply not digest in time. So the crickets will be really, really fat and really, really full of vitamins and other good things. So when the gecko eats the crickets, they're not only getting the nutrition from the crickets themselves, they're getting the nutrition from the gut loader. And the next thing I'm going to get is this stuff here. This is basically, I don't know if the camera can focus on that. This is basically squishy, kind of almost a little bit tougher than Jello. Ooh, dropping it on my floor kind of stuff. Basically, the crickets can't drink water because if they do, they might drown themselves by crawling into the water. So it's gushy stuff that the crickets can eat and as such get hydrated. So they're basically eating water so that way they don't accidentally drown. Alright, so now comes the fun part that we've all been waiting for. We're going to put the crickets into the tank. This is the bag I purchased them in from the pet store with a piece of paper towel, again to keep them from crapping acid all over themselves as they traveled home. I'm gonna dust them off of this paper towel and actually take this paper towel out because this paper towel is super nasty now and I don't want to keep this around them. So this gets fun. But now they're just gonna kind of stay in this tank and basically get fat and hydrated so they can be super healthy when they're eating later. So this is what it looks like from above. I'm actually gonna put more paper towel in here in a minute. But this is the crickets kind of running around, existing in this little space. Okay, so this is the cricket tank, complete with paper towel, just kind of chilling over here. If you've ever seen this structure behind me in any of my videos or my live streams, this is what's going on. So you have the cricket tank. This is the RO water I was talking about. I go ahead and get X amount at a time. This is a humidifier that pumps steam into the tank. This is his fruit that he eats, which you've seen in other videos. Over here is a cleaner dish that I keep water in for him to eat. That way, these are the plants he grows, he gets to chill out on, and this is his tank. He's nocturnal, so he's not going to come out and eat at this moment. But back there, that's Krat. That is my mighty Krat dragon, my crested gecko. Alright, it's a couple hours later. It's nice and safely at night. You can see the little critter right there on the glass. I now have crickets back in the bag, but you'll see they're covered in calcium dust. So again, the goal is to make the food as healthy as possible. So they are now gut loaded, water goo loaded, and covered in vitamin dust. And what I'm going to do is pour them in a dish inside the tank, and then you can eat them from there. Alright, this is going to be a little bit delicate because he's right up here by the edge, which is not where I like him to be whenever I go into the tank, because I don't want him to try to get out, but his head is facing away from the top of the tank here. And usually once he knows there's bugs coming in the tank, he's not going to try to leave the tank. He wants to stay where he can eat the bugs. We're going to pour these in. We're going to jump. Oh, good boy. There's a mighty dragon. Let him lick his lips. Oh, good boy. And that is how you feed a Krat dragon. Oh, get it. You want to get it? But anyway, that's a inside look on the care and keeping of my crested gecko. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this is kind of an unusual video, not necessarily Star Wars, but just kind of a look into the kind of comings and goings of my day. Please leave me a comment letting me know what you think. Follow us on all the socials. There's links on the screen and there's links in the description below. And please guys, until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Cooking candy bottles.